Chickens are one of the most common and widespread domestic animals, which means that they've been around human beings for 1,000 years, if not million years. As I raise chickens, I often wonder why the chicken is regarded as one of the dumbest farm animals. In Korea, for instance, a chicken head is referred to someone who is really dumb and stupid. The topic for this episode is chicken and memoria. Are chickens indeed dumb? If so, how dumb they are? What's their memory span? If not, why they got the stigma of being the dumbest livestock? Well, most of these questions will be dealt with in my next story, but today I'd like to focus on this question: why chickens remain the same for eons? If chickens who lived during the time of ancient Greece for about 2,500 years ago were brought back to life today, they might have a little trouble getting along with the other chickens. But if the people of the time got resurrected today, they will have much difficult time adjusting in today's society. Why do chickens remain the same for 1,000 years? If you say, in case of the chicken, that's the way it is, or that's the way chickens are created, I don't have much to say. By this time, you may wonder what this got to do with the theme of this episode, chicken and memoria. I will tell you why. This rake is one of the most useful tools I use for my chicken coop. Most often, I use this rake to clean up the ground for sanitation purpose and to pick up an egg. One of the chickens lays an egg in this I call villa, making my job quite difficult. So I have to use this rake to pull out the egg. This is my daily routine. I rarely use this rake to scare them. I do use this rake or a similar stick to catch a chicken. Obviously, that would scare them, but it only occurs once or twice a year. Nevertheless, whenever I enter the coop with this rake, chickens got crazy. You see, they run away like a herd, screaming and flying around. It's just chaos. Why they react in such a chaotic way? I think the memory that dominates the chicken in regard with this rake is something that would threaten them, a matter of survival. You see what I'm up to? Yes, the ultimate usage of memory by the chicken is for their survival. Anything that would be harmful, they do remember. What about human beings? I mentioned the old Greek period in the beginning. Probably the most precious legacy of Greece in history would be the Athenian democracy, which has been remembered and praised as the father of democracy in the Western world. At least, we all know Socrates, the most famous philosopher of the time. Parthenon is a famous structure we all love to visit. We have to remember, however, the actual period of the Athenian democracy was not that long, for about 400 years at the most. Remember the 1,000 years of the Middle Age feudalism I discussed in my last episode? In other words, the tradition of Athenian democracy was dead for more than 1,500 years, including the time of Roman Empire and the Middle Age feudalism. How can you say the idea of liberty and equality of the Athenian democracy was the foundation of democracy if the Western people lived in a system far from, actually, a total opposite to the idea of liberty and equality for over 1,000 years? A precious thing about human history is that we remember the good things in the past. That's the beauty of Renaissance. After a long, unbelievably long period of the dark age of the medieval feudalism, some people began to remember the golden age of the Athenian democracy. Literal definition of Renaissance is rebirth. It was a rebirth of the old classics of the Athenian period. I would say it was a remembrance of the golden age of the Athenian democracy. In fact, it was the remembrance that made the Athenian period as the golden age. Chickens remember for their survival. They remember the worst thing in the past. Therefore, they remain the same for eons. But we human beings often try to remember the best thing, willing to take risk for the better. How much we remember is less important than what we remember. History is full of evidence in which nation or people who try to remember the best and positive things in the past succeed against all odds. Thank you.